Hello and welcome to the first session of Hearts of Wulin Numberless Secrets. This is a slight hack of Hearts of Wulin, adding in some of the mystery investigation, clues, and sort of crime-solving elements from Brindlewood Bay. This is a sort of on-the-fly adaptation. I've done the most of the work, but there may be some tweaks that we make as we go along. Also, at some point, I may need to sneeze. That was the point. So let's go on. My name is Lowell, pronouns he, him, and we're going to start with going over some materials and some matters before we go into the game more properly to get things set up. And we'll talk a little bit about what the rules have here. One of the things I want to say before we get too much further into this is, of course, this is a game written by a super white dude with the help of a number of representative authors and who have contributed to help this game be stronger. But we want to make sure that we treat this material, which is essentially classical fictional stories from various time periods. We want to treat this with the most respect possible. Even when we're kind of talking about the tropes, or we're playing around with what things look like in terms of cinema and characters and things like that, we still want to treat those things with respect and not as objects of mockery. A lot of these things that look low budget were low budget because they didn't have the money and they did amazing things with what they had. And I think we have to give people full props for that. So let me go on and talk about what we're actually going to be doing in the form of our CATS layout. So CATS starts with the concept. So we are Wulin heroes. It is a world where various factions exist. They struggle with one another. They plot for power. They try to defend justice. Our Wulin heroes are messed up in that. There may be an emperor or a figure of power that's involved with that or not, depending on how we set the game up. But the key point is that they're heroes. And in this particular game, heroes who get tangled up in mysteries and their own hearts. That is as much as anything, that their own passions and desires and things drive them even as they're trying to solve these mysteries. The gameplay for this, in terms of our approach, is a little more modular. Essentially, there's role play to meet the NPCs, to put the cast of characters on stage. Then something happens, a crime, often a murder. The players investigate to get clues with a capital C. There's some fight, some confrontations, some affections. Our entanglements, our triangles will tie us up during those phases. Usually that will bring us to enough clues to theorize for a solution. And it's a mechanical process that will lead us to figuring out exactly what happened with the crime, give us a chance to provide some justice or some closure, and then finally, more role playing. So there's this structure of standard play and then hunting for clues with a capital C. The number of clues you get, you use those pieces to put together a hypothesis to solve a particular case. Layered on top of that is the conspiracy. Ooh. In the background, there is a meta story. In standard Brindlewood Bay, this is a combination of the sort of the void clues and the mystery of the sisters in the background. Here, there's a conspiracy. At the start, you're finding a certain amount of little details that point out to you that maybe something is not right. You don't know that there's a conspiracy yet, but you're starting to see that there's something odd. You're starting to pick those up. Once the group as a whole has gotten at least 4 of those conspiracy threads, then there's another tier that we move up to where more things will come out. There's a little bit of interplay between what clues mean, what the conspiracy thread means, and the general information that you get from study. There's some definitions of that in the character keeper. We'll talk about that a little bit later when it kind of comes up. Our tone is action fun with sporadic seriousness, romance and drama. We have entanglements. The entanglements are always how your relationship with a second person is affected by a third, and that balancing of those things. And those entanglements should drive you and say what you want and allow us to just play out scenes of those things. Within this game, though, one of the things is we are playing a game that is not a supernatural game, in the sense that we don't have magicians, we don't have mages, we don't have magical creatures coming down. But at the same time, everybody believes in magic. People use that belief. People believe in ghosts and spirits, and maybe they are there. We don't know. But those things are a part of the sort of the setup for this. At the same time, because we have people who have these wondrous wuxia skills, they can do things that would appear supernatural. Again, one of the common tropes that I've used in Hearts of Wulin is the idea that a disguise always works. But in these like mystery dramas and things like that, literally people have disguises that they're able to put on and completely change what they look like. So there are techniques, there are skills, there are abilities that you go, well, that looks a little bit like magic, but it's not. If any of you have seen the Detective D in the Mystery of the Phantom Flame film, there's people who use a needle acupuncture technique to change the orientation of their face and look completely different. And that's not magic. That's just, that's just science. So I want you to imagine it that way. Some things that look wondrous can be explained through martial techniques or special knowledge, all of those kinds of things. We will play around with that. Now, with all of that in mind, the thing that we need to talk about next is safety. We, of course, use a layered set of safety techniques. We have a tab here on the character keeper. We have lines, which again are hard lines. We're not going to be doing anything with these items. Veils, meaning either off screen or we fade to black if they would appear there. And ask first if you're okay maybe with that, but you want us to do a check-in before you would bring that kind of content or material onto the game table. I've got a number of things there in the lines and veils, but you should feel free to add anything that is left off from there. This again is a living document, so we'll check in again on it as we go through. Number 2 is the X card that supports this baseline. The X card should be marked if you find anything that is objectionable, that is problematic, that is starting to move towards lines, or maybe we're doing something that we're supposed to veil and we haven't quite, hit that, when we want to mark that out. It's also if you feel that something is wildly off tone, and it's legit to X card if somebody is stepping into your space. In terms of play, it's a legit to X card to kind of slow things down and do that. That's important. And again, with the X card, if it happens a couple times, the first time you're like, I'm okay, but later on you're like, nope, I'm no longer okay with this. It is legit to X card at a later point in time. Lastly, we use the open door policy, which means that if you're not feeling well, if you're not feeling up to it, or if the game itself is wearing on you, or has triggered you in a way you're not comfortable talking about, these are all legit reasons to open door out of a session. It's good if you can tell us if you're going to be back, but that is not an obligation. It would be nice, but your safety and comfort is more important than my elf game. So just keep that in mind. Again, and I don't need to say this, but I always do when I do Hearts of Wulin, don't do accents. I know I don't have to say it, but I always want to, in case someone is watching this for the first time, you should always remember when we're dealing with these kinds of cultural set things, don't do accents. Please, just remember that. So those are all of the kind of safety and setup issues that we have for us. We have available to us a host of different playbooks, and we need to talk about what people want to do. I have left in the playbooks for the courtly characters and for the fantastic characters in case somebody wants to borrow something from that. The courtly characters, I put them in there. Basically, you'll notice that if you look at the tab with them, they have 2 playbook moves. They're changed out. They have a new role that's unique to the courtly. And they change up some of the systems of the game. If someone decides to do a courtly character, then we add in a few more bells and whistles to things, particularly in terms of influence. So let me see. Tyler, I think you've played Hearts of Wulin the least of all of us.
Yeah, I was telling Patrick, I was like, I know I played a one-shot and
at one of the Gauntlet cons. I remember that because
that's right.
Because somebody died in your arms, and then you gave up your mission to go out and seek vengeance. It was great.
Oh, so it was Tyler. I did.
Oh yeah.
I heard the story after.
And then I feel like there might have been one more, but I could not say for sure when it was. I'll say that I'm sort of looking at the eccentric expert.
Ooh.
I think that one's pretty nifty. I could go for something else if someone really has their heart on that, but that one's calling to me. I might could go for an outside or an unorthodox somewhere, but it probably wouldn't beat the dying.
Okay. And let me pull up something real quick. Let me grab up that sheet that I had here with those on. Yeah, I made a couple of changes to that today, but mostly for clarification based on Jamie's suggestions there for the eccentric expert who is built on the Bravo, which is a great class. Jamie, you get to run it a lot. Don't get as much to play though I know you had a great Academy of the Blade thing with David. What are you? Do you have a playbook or two that you've narrowed it down to?
Ooh, I really love the supernatural playbooks. I mean, fantastic playbooks. So I was thinking, unless someone wanted it, let's see. Tyler, you picked, is it the unorthodox? Oh no, it was
Bravo.
Bravo.
That's right, the Bravo. I think I'm gonna go with unorthodox and take Inhuman Guys.
So now how does that fit with our having not supernatural stuff in the game?
Yeah, I think instead it's I like the idea that it's someone who's affected by the conspiracy, but they have to hide how they are affected by it.
Interesting.
There's a mark of some kind, or they've been weakened in some way.
Yeah, we'll figure out exactly what that is. And I think we could probably modify any of those moves to have a non-supernatural thing. But if you hit anyone that you're like, oh, that might be a little hard, feel free to we'll swap that out with something else. So keep that in mind.
Sounds good.
All right. Patrick, what are you thinking?
It's one of my favorite characters from Ancient Detective, and I really like historian move that you have for the aware. I think that's a fun idea. I like the sort of person who lives on the fringes of the martial world, but isn't necessarily like a super martial fighter. Who lives in a sort of like neutrality area. There are a number of the fantastical moves that I was looking at to draw on, but not necessarily in a supernatural way.
Okay.
Again, a sort of like interpreting them into being other aspects. And if we get into, like, I don't think this is where I'd start, but if we get into it, there are some of the courtly moves that deal with social combat that I thought looked interesting.
Yeah, I'm more than happy if you choose a particular playbook. Like we have a Bravo, we have an Unorthodox. If you look at the playbook setups for the other like game types and want to swap in other moves or take other moves from there, I'm perfectly fine with that. So Sherry, you have a list that has been limited down to the loyal, the outsider, and the student, assuming that everyone wants to take another playbook. Take a drink.
I just want to get that out of the way.
Fair enough.
Right away. Now we're good. It'll be fine from here on out. Yeah, I think so. I had this concept. I really want to play someone who has gotten stuck in the shoes of their elder and is trying to pretend that they are them. So I have this concept, and I think that I might do it that I was like, it makes sense to do the loyal, in that while I'm in his disguise, I am apparently an official. I'm, this well-known detective and consultant and scholar, and but in truth, I'm actually his grandniece. And he gave me his chop and took off because one of his friends went missing. And so I'm supposed to take care of his business in the meantime. And so I've got an elaborate disguise and I'm trying to maintain that is what I was kind of thinking, if that would be okay.
What would you take as your role? What do you think is, would you take it as official or?
I could take it as official or I could take it as devoted child. That would suggest that my family was in on what had happened. So I could do either.
Okay.
I don't know. Which do you think would be better? I have his chop, so I could say official, right?
That's true. Would you, it's up to you. What do you think you're more likely to call on in play? If you look at those two moves, which one are you going, oh, I probably get more, I know how to use this right away. I know what fun I can have with this.
I really like the thing of bluffing that I have a measure, because I have a measure of authority, but she isn't familiar with all of those things. So she's gonna have to work that out.
Okay, so let's do the official. And then of course we know what some of the potential hard move costs are.
Exactly.
Okay. So with that in mind, I'm going to let all of you get to work on choosing your moves. And if you look at the character creation tab, you'll choose your look and name. You choose your fighting style, defining a style element, and then what it's called and what kind of weapon or weapons you use, setting your elements, and then choosing your moves. And you'll get your roll move, plus you'll get to pick 2 other moves. And I'm going to let you do that. And if you have any questions, you can ask. And once we're set with that, then we'll look at doing entanglements. I'm going to step away for a minute. I will be right back. I know we've come a long way when I look up and Patrick's one of the first people to have their name in the character keeper.
What even is this world? The funny thing is my Google has now become so used to my desperation that as soon as I type in any genre or nationality, the next suggested words are name generator.
Anyone mind if I put a row above the top row so we can put pictures up top and let them be kind of the size they need to be?
Sure. There's a thing for the images at the bottom, but I know how much you like having those up top. So
How can I know who I'm talking to if I can't see?
Actually, Sherry, can we do that row below the roll line? Just because with the frozen cells, if we put pictures way up top, that'll take up half the screen.
Oh, sure. That's fine. Oh, okay, yeah. Your character looks very scholarly.
We got into a Pinterest hole of a bunch of characters with that like half glasses thing. I was just really taken by it.
Ooh, half classes. Oh no. One of my weaknesses. once met someone in real life who had that, and I was like just staring at their face.
I mean, it seems like the worst to actually wear. Like, it seems like the world would constantly be doing this, but you know, it's a very attractive look.
It might be a little less exhausting than a monocle would be, though.
Oh yeah, it seems a lot easier to wear.
Yes.
I chose a character image for Ryutama last night, a character who had goggles. I was very excited. And then we got to playing and you had to buy your equipment. And I looked and you get like 1,500 gold to buy your stuff with. And goggles were like 4,000. So when I described my character, I had to go, these are fake.
Also, it's a game all about encumbrance and weight. And gosh, I spent so much money on backpacks.
Yes. Did you put in that row, Sherry, or don't me to put that in?
I just wanted to bottom.
Okay. We can put it at the top.
Nope, Patrick was fine. Was right. There's plenty of room down top, down at the bottom. I could do like little ones, but that's.
How about this? How about I make the look field like half that, and then you can put your picture beside that. Okay. So you'll see me playing with the look field here for a little bit while you're doing things. Oh, good idea, Patrick.
I had never been one to use OneDrive. But when I got the new computer and I was slapping everything from the old computer into something to take it over to the new computer, I threw all of my mini role-playing pictures up onto the OneDrive. And then I realized my computer directly accesses it just like it was on a drive. And I said, wow, that's actually really awesome. And so now they all live in the cloud, so they will potentially get destroyed, I suppose. But still, awfully cool.
More likely they'll just make you pay a bunch to get them.
Sad but true. But they're still on the old computer, so ha 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 ha, screw that.
Yeah, my pictures folder, when I go to open it up, does that thing where it's like, it's going to be a minute. let me re-index this. All right, let me give you another minute. And then we'll go through, even if you have stuff that I haven't picked yet, you can do that as we go along. And then we'll start doing some introductions across the sheet so that we can get some framework for doing our entanglements. Are you talking, Jamie?
Sorry, I'm being judgmental with Matthew, who's like
Oh,
off,
fair enough.
off screen. He picked the Surge playbook for Apocalypse Keys. I'm like, oh, of course he picked the overpowered like playbook.
I don't seek out overpowered playbooks, but I have a reputation of destruction.
Yes. Same thing. Tyler says hi.
Hmm?
Tyler says hi.
I
Forehead.
All right, Tyler, if I were to come and ask you to tell us about your character, would you be sat and willing to do that?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Let's hear about your character.
All righty. Let me get over here. All right. I'm playing Baoshi, who is the eccentric expert, which is off of the Bravo playbook. As for looks, I do have a picture, but he's tidy and well kempt and maybe a bit prim. Bright, inquisitive eyes, quick with a little sardonic grin. Thin with delicate features and almost spindly fingers. He's fairly short and close cropped hair. He's 26 years old. I've taken earth at -1, fire at +1, metal at +2, water at 0, wood at +1. My fighting style, I took paired, and he uses wooden scroll cases, which count as sticks.
Is there a colorful name for the style that you've learned?
I may have to think about that.
Yeah, you think about that. And so these are like, are they just that you happen to use them, or are these particularly made weighted kind of scroll cases to do your?
I think it's probably more like he has a great many on him and he will just reach down and grab whichever one is convenient. I don't think they are particularly made for, which could come back to biting. But at the same time, there's a lot. So if somebody shatters one, he's not, I mean, he's probably more concerned with what was in it than he would be with the actual case.
Excellent. Go on. Tell us about the moves and such.
I took the eccentric expert move, which I think is just wonderful. You're bored with the little cases everyone brings you. Yawn, yawn, yawn. When you're brought or but into a case which is not part of the mystery or the conspiracy, Roll. On a hit, narrate what actually happened to check in with any connected players. You impress and astound those around you, convincing them of your expertise. Word of your skill spreads. Gain a bond with someone present. On a 7 to 9, name one person who resents or grumbles about my methods. On a 6, you're wrong. 6 or less, you're wrong. Choose. You're wrong and realize it, but can't admit it. Or someone of lower station points out the flaw in your work. Or this is all a setup by an enemy to undercut you. I absolutely love this move. I think it is phenomenal. I then also took love on delivery, which is when you attempt to manipulate the affections of an NPC towards another, you'll roll. And let's say they find themselves taking or losing an interest in spite of themselves. They'll find themselves torn about their existing feelings. If they're unattached, they will act to meet or avoid the object of their feelings. 7 to 9, there's complication. And there's some lists of those. And on a miss, they have the opposite effect of what I was wanting. And then I have tracing shadows. When you spend time interacting with someone to read their web of connections, roll. On a hit, the GM or NPC for NPCs or player for PCs will reveal an entanglement and a secret that they would prefer remain hidden. Take +1 forward for hearts and minds. 7 to 9, your target is aware of your workings. Miss, learn one. They learn one of your entanglements. And I think all of this is to show that I'm a bit of a busybody. I like the idea of a bit of the kind of the Sherlock Holmesiness of noticing little things to come up with these grand and, you know, completely insanely unfounded sort of connections with stuff. But at the same time, I like the idea that it bleeds also into wanting to, like, oh, I think they should be together. I'm going to meddle in that. And knowing what people, you know, how they get along with folks and that sort of thing. I think that all around, I'm the sort who believes that I can help people, and it pushes me then to get all up in their business, as the kids would say. And as such, I'm probably not always welcome doing that.
So are you imagining you're a courtier or a scholar, or do you imagine you're part of a Wulin family and you've taken a slightly different path? What do you think?
I'm imagining that I come from a fairly well-off family because I think I'm pretty well educated, would have had the luxury of having a pretty good, the freedom to have an education, but way down, not likely to, be important to the family in, like having to take over the business or having to, do anything of the responsibilities. And as such, went out to, make a living, make a name for myself, but being the sort who really doesn't like the idea of working particularly hard, wants to work smarter, not harder. And I don't think I think of myself as a fighter type at all. It's much more of being a brain about things. If you think this all out, then you shouldn't have to fight,
So you're a little separated from the Wulin world in some ways, but still connected, since a lot of the cases probably take you that way. Siblings?
I think so. I think I have a gaggle of both brothers and sisters. Most are older.
Most are older, so you're the youngest. So they might appear as Mycroft characters later on. Okay.
Absolutely.
And right now, who is your Lestrade, your person who actually goes to call you in, perhaps reluctantly?
Ooh, I think that there is probably a magistrate in a lot of the areas that we're in, or that I deal in, who probably thinks they're a great deal smarter than me, but that I'm somehow stumble into things. And of course, they don't have the time to go and do the investigations like like old Bao can, because he has nothing to do, that sort of thing.
Male or female magistrate?
We could go with a female.
Okay, so we'll just note that, and we'll leave that in case anybody wants to use that for their entanglements later on. We'll just note that person is on the table. Okay, so I think that gives us enough to go on. We're going to move on, but we're going to come back to you with the entanglement questions. I've got a couple different tabs, entanglements and names, one for the courtly, one for the fantastic. So feel free to look through there and find the example entanglements that you're like, ooh, that's the one I want. And you'll pick one romantic and one general. Patrick, let's come to you, Song Da.
Yes. Hi, I'm Patrick, he, him, and I am playing Song Da, also he, him, a very fancy, studious-looking boy. Although, to look at my picture, I think probably a little less fancy than that, like, heavily embroidered overrobe would imply.
I should definitely be sharing this screen for people at home.
I'm going with the Aware playbook with our sort of playtesty historian role, which is that I'm part of a group dedicated to recording the stories of the Wulin world and updating the rankings of members of the world. When you meet a new unnamed member of the Wulin society, I can roll, and I might have something over on them because they want a story told about them, or it might, the things I know might get me into trouble, or the things they want me to write might get me into trouble. Let's see, for look, I went with simple dark silks, so like simply made but nice fabrics. He's not wandering around in cottons or anything, like wools or anything. Unflinching gaze, which is that like his eyes just catch everything. Delicate hands, in that they're very like dexterous fingers, but not calloused, not trained, not worked, obviously. And a guileless face, in that he just, once he gets interested or obsessed in something, like he can't hide it. Like it is all just there for everybody to read, all of his sort of feelings and obsessions.
What do you have as a name for this historian group? Who are these people that keep the record of the Wulin world?
Try to go with something with like legends. So like maybe like the Bureau of Legends or something like that.
Okay, I like that. I'm gonna write that down.
All right.
Tell us about your fighting style.
Yeah, so my stats, I went with high in fire and water because it's Hearts of Wulin, so I make a character that's high in fire. That's just how things happen.
Yeah.
And I somehow managed to not put my -1 in something that I thought I would use all the time. I was very close to doing that. Instead, I put a 0 in something I thought I might use all the time, which is wood for curiosity. He has problems like his curiosity gets him in trouble. As far as fighting style, and like I'm lifting this directly from Ancient Detective, I like the idea that this Bureau of Legends is allowed to exist and is allowed to go and see almost anything in the Wulin world because they are in a way removed and uninvolved in it. They make it a point, they make it a vow to not learn dangerous martial skills, but they learn skills that can protect them and get them around. So things like shadow skills or invisibility, or like with him, I think it's the levitation skills,
Which is usually referred to as lightness in these settings.
Okay. And so I don't think he has a fighting style per se, if that's
absolutely, that's absolutely legit. It is the way you fight, but it's not a formal style.
Okay.
But your fire definitely powers that.
Yeah. So I very much see him using his lightness, his speed to like throw opponents off balance, get them to hurt themselves, maybe. And I also, especially in the idea of like moving into social combats, I like the idea of using the threat of writing official historical records of people to get them to stop what they're doing. Like, oh, if you continue this, well, I'm gonna write something you don't want about you in the historical record here.
And what did you take for your other two moves?
So for my other two moves, I went with Storm Rider to be that levitation, that lightness, which is once per scene I can get somewhere that I can see whether it really makes sense or not. Great jumping, you know, he can stand on a thin thread, anything like that. And then for my other one, this is one of the supernatural moves that I want to sort of talk out with you.
Sure.
But Phoenix flying in the sky, you can communicate across vast distances via some, take out supernatural, medium. And my two sort of thoughts here, I wanted to see what maybe like fit better with the world, is that maybe there is some sort of semi-supernatural element about these like historical notebooks that they write in, that maybe there's some information sharing, or that maybe it's something along the lines of like animal messengers that can always find the target if I know the target, sort of thing.
Yeah, I like the idea of certainly it's classic to have carrier birds in this setting. And it doesn't have to be one thing. It can also be that your character knows how to leave codes, or how to, you know, reach out to an agent of your organization who will speed the message on its way, that kind of thing.
Cool. Okay. Yeah, I like that.
So if this is a less instantaneous means of communication, then I want to modify that move a little, because in the supernatural, it's like I can send this message and it gets to them immediately. Since this is going to be a little bit less than that, at the end, there's the, if you have a bond with the target, they can speak back. Let's just say that they can send a message back. There doesn't need to be a bond with you, just to make it a little bit easier for you to get that in action. Does that sound cool?
Sure.
So, were you raised in this bureau? How did you come to be part of this?
Sorry, just modifying that move real quick. Yeah, I think it's something that he's always been sort of interested and passionate about. I think he joined this bureau at a pretty young age, but to like spark his interest.
Like were you part of a family? Were you homeless? I mean, how did you come to join?
So I think what it was is just to like tie him, you know, tightly into the martial world. I think maybe he comes from a well-known Wulin family, a clan, and was like, would have been expected to train in the martial arts and become a sort of like star, a skilled fighter of the martial world. But while he was fascinated by all of it and grew up like steeped in that knowledge, I just don't think the actual fighting itself ever really interested him. Like, I think he gets sort of nervous and scared around danger. That's why his skills are all based in getting away. Is like he loves to view things from 50 yards distant, but you get up close and it's just it's a little too much to deal with.
So for purposes of entanglements, there may be relatives or brothers or sisters that are out there from your original clan, right?
Oh yeah, and I think definitely in the form of like disappointed elders and people that would be on his like sibling level are more like protective or not very, they don't think he's very skilled. They don't think he can take care of himself.
Perfect. Sherry, we're going to come to you next.
Oh, okay. You meant now. Okay.
Yes.
Oh, okay. I got it. So let's see here. So I am playing ostensibly Blue Mountain Scholar of the Blue Mountain sect. But in fact, I am actually Lost Song Genii. Lost Song Genii. And so I'm playing the Loyal. Blue Mountain Scholar is a famous and venerable consulting scholar and agent of the Blue Mountain sect. He has notably grown thin and shorter in this last decade and taken to wearing cloaks for warmth and hats to keep the weather at bay. Also, he's sometimes assisted by his grandniece, Genii. So that's essentially the story. That's those who know him, essentially. So essentially, he's an old man. She has a beard and a mustache that she wears and a hat that covers most of her face is essentially it. She also typically keeps
on screen, it's pretty clear that you're in a disguise, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. Every viewer understands exactly what's going on.
And we assume that lots of people that are your friends know about this.
Yes.
It's a very loose secret.
But an important one.
Right.
Yes. So, and then the story, of course, is that my uncle has left me his blades, his seal, and his second best traveling clothes because he himself has, because he was called to investigate. So wherever we start, this is what he's been called, where he had been called to, but he refuses to go because he's convinced that the disappearance of his old friend Lone Hawk Bow is more significant. So, she's kind of worried about her uncle and his friend. He is getting on in years, and so is his friend. But she herself has been training with him for a long time, and she uses the same style, which is called Truth-Seeking Blades. It's an earth style. And essentially they're twin, thin, flexible blades. Sometimes you see those, they aren't like heavy swords. They are made to move around, to be like the thing, because they're used as much as tools as they are weapons. Okay. So, and they are engraved. One of the things that like you will get when they do the opening of the show and you could see her granduncle doing an investigation, and you see him sort of take his blade and push it into something, and you see like this liquid kind of come up the engravement, and then he kind of like picks it up and sniffs it. So clearly he uses the weapons to do some, sort of basic investigation, if that makes any sense.
Absolutely. Tell us, you've got the magistrate move. Mm-hmm. What do you think is your chosen contact type? Do you know now, or do you want to hold off making that choice?
I'm going to say that there is probably a loose affiliation of, does it make sense to have like a loose affiliation of sort of kind of, I want to say like, what's the word for police or for the kind of guy, like essentially the things of the different righteous sects, like the, not guards, but kind of. You mean
the Orthodox righteous sect people?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
But like, just essentially those guys, but like guys who are usually in a guard or investigation thing. So it's like those people know of him and will assist.
Okay, that seems good. What are your other two moves?
So I took that I possess a legendary blade, which can be recognized wherever I go. So I gain +1 when I deal with troops or impress someone with the martial world. So that's just the thing for the blade, which sounds vary that much. But I think if anything, I impress him with the thing that this is an old man, so anything he can do does seem particularly impressive.
Gasp.
Exactly. Gasp. And the other thing that I took is Legend of the Mountain, because I think that makes that's kind of funny if you think of that they're Blue Mountain sex. So would you defend someone or something on a roll? On a hit, you keep them safe and choose one from the list below. On a 7 and 9, you must also mark an element or let the GM complicate the situation. But when I do succeed, I can take control of something, I can change the location of the conflict, or I can gain a bond with the protected person. On a miss, they or someone else suffers worse for your efforts.
Oof. All right. I think that gives us a good sense of who she is. We've certainly got background with her uncle and who he is. That brings us, last but not least, to Jamie.
Yeah, so I'm also in disguise. I think it's a better disguise. But I think the audience knows. I think the audience watching like sees it. But yes,
do they see it, or are they uncertain? How good a disguise are you playing with here?
I mean, is it revealed
Yeah.
later? Like, you know.
Yeah. I think like definitely because it's the move that I picked. I think it's a very good disguise. I think because I'm pretending to be my twin brother, so there's very little that I have to change. I should mention that it's like a twin brother. But yeah. Yeah, so I'm playing Iron Lotus, goes by Lotus, he, they pronouns, the unorthodox playbook in, I put their masculine guys instead of like human guys.
Nice.
So they are the Broken Circle faction. I'll get to that in a bit, but the way they look is they have long and flowing locks, a severe coat, shades of purple, the cloying smell of incense. And the story is that he's searching for his missing brother and had to take on his identity to do so. I think it's like all caught up in the conspiracy thing. There's some reason why she has to pretend to be her brother, and she has to pretend that he isn't missing or he isn't dead or something like that. So I think we'll see how it plays out with the conspiracy. And they're part of the Broken Circle faction, which is other people who have lost people to the conspiracy. So they're trying to help each other and trying to protect each other. But I think people go missing all the time. I think the faction has been compromised somehow.
Nice. Tell us about your fighting style and your weapon.
Yeah, so their fighting style is the 8 petals across the water. They're like 8 steps. They have not mastered all 8 in true like like Wulin or anime style. And their main element is metal because they have to be control, calculating, and they have to reflect a lot. But they also have a +2 in water, awareness, wisdom, flexibility. Their fire is bad though at -1 because they caught their feelings show. So, and their weapon is a flute that they use. They pretend that it's a flute that does all the fighting, but they actually are quite knowledgeable of chi points and know how to hit them in order to make the quotation mark flute more effective.
And we have the in masculine guise, which adds in some benefits for hearts and minds. What are the other 2 moves that you took?
Yeah, so I took Painted Skin. You can change your physical appearance and dress instantly. You need only a moment out of you to appear someone completely different. I think it makes sense because there's the whole disguise thing that they have to keep doing. I'm going to do my typical jammy. Oh, sorry.
It's literally that wipe where you walk past, a thin frame, and when you come out the other side, you're in a completely different guise.
Yeah, but it has to be like slow motion, right? So that people can see how great it looks. But I'm gonna do the jammy trick of not picking my second move until I need it in the moment.
That is absolutely fair.
I also like in masculine guys, you have to pick what your tell is. And I think my tell is that I really love sweets and pretty things. So just putting that out there,
Okay.
like desserts, delicacies, just like real jamming in real life. But there you go.
All right. I think that's pretty good. Let's do this. Let's take about, let's say, about 10, 12 minutes. That'll bring us to 35 after. And when we come back, we will talk about entanglements and get those settled out and get a little bit of framing up. But I don't want to go too much further before we take a break here. Sound okay? Okay. Well, I can stop sharing. Pause. So we're back. Tyler, which entanglement would you like to start with? Do you want to start with figuring out your romantic or your general?
I think I'll start with my romantic because I haven't quite settled on my general.
Okay. So what are you thinking?
I love blank, who I have known all my life, but blank continually reminds them of my youthful indiscretions. I think the person who is continually reminding them of my youthful indiscretions would be our magistrate figure.
Okay. Do you have a name for our magistrate?
No, but let's see. There's namey things over here, aren't there? Let's how about magistrate Delon.
Delon, Magistrate Delon. And who is it that you are in love with, that Magistrate Delon continues to remind them that you're not a person that they should get mixed up with?
I I want to think that maybe there is a policeman or someone who is out there as an official police presence that I have the fondness for.
Like a guard captain?
Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah.
Guard captain. And what is their name?
Oh goodness, gosh, I hate names. His name is let's go easy. Lynn.
Okay, Guard Captain Lynn. All right. So that gives us your romantic. Now, that means that because you didn't have a PC in either one of those slots, you have to have a PC in one of your two slots for the general. At least PC has to be in at least one of the four possible slots that you have. But we will come back to you. Patrick, can we come to you and figure out what you would like to do? Do you want to do your romantic or your general first?
I think I want to do my romantic because I'm greedy.
Oh, it's always the tastiest, isn't it? So delicious.
So I love blank, but my senior blank and the rest of my clan believe they serve a dark force.
Ooh.
And I think it's definitely Iron Lotus.
Ooh, I serve a dark force, I think.
But
like
specifically the brother guys, not the sister underneath.
Mm-hmm.
Which does female version have a name?
Yeah, I was thinking of like Metal Flower also. I have to finalize.
Okay.
Like
sister name TBD.
Yeah.
What's the name of your senior now? Is this this is a sibling from your original clan, or is this a member of this historian order?
I think it's the Bureau of Legends. I think there are, officially sanctioned stories or histories that prove that Iron Lotus and the Broken Circle? Yeah, the Broken Circle consort with dark forces. I have my clan leader listed out in my other entanglement. Should I keep it simple and use him for both, or go for another person in the
Gosh, you should always go for another person.
Okay, definitely. So this will be I think the people of the Bureau of Legends don't get full fancy martial names until they get up to a very high rank. So that's what my clan leader is. So I think this person is going to be another Chinese name person. So let's
So like
go
brother
with,
something?
Sister.
Sister.
Let's go with sister, like the person
Sister.
who trained up. Sister. So female first name.
I was running on Monday with people who hadn't played with me before, and I was doing my full-on voice. Oh yeah, you could absolutely do that if you want.
Oh no.
Sister Lucian.
Perfect. Okay. Because we're going to have to get pictures for all of these NPCs and put them in the NPC tab. It'll be delightful.
1000%.
All right. Sherry, for Blue Mountain Scholar / Lost Song Zenai, what do you wish to do for your entanglement? Your romantic or your general?
So I just want to check again with Song Da's romantic. What was your romantic entanglement in particular?
So I am in love with Iron Lotus, the disguise that Jamie's character is wearing. But my senior, Sister Lujan, a member of the Bureau of Legends, and the rest of the Bureau of Legends believe that they serve a dark force.
I'm thinking, would it make sense that probably that as my scholar self, Blue Mountain Scholar, has promised that they will help you in courting Iron Lotus, but in doing so, I have fallen for Iron Lotus as well. The horrible thing being, of course, I am an old man for all practical purposes.
I think that's perfect.
Okay.
But the question becomes, now let's stop here. Let's just pause, because we've talked about the disguise.
Mhm.
If you're taking that, it assumes that Song Da doesn't know your second identity.
Would that be okay, Sangda? Would you be okay with that?
Yes,
I mean,
think that'll
initially,
actually.
we can blow that up at any time.
Okay.
Yeah, I think will even work with what I was thinking about for my second. So yeah, go for it.
Okay. I just want to, I know we've had those alternate entities with things like that, where some people know and some people don't know, and it can get really hairy. So I just want you to keep that in mind.
I'm good with
I
not
think-
knowing on either of our people to start
Yeah,
with.
I think that my reveal that I'm actually, my uncle is the thing that Iron Lotus can hide behind when people are starting to suspect.
Okay.
The distraction, it only makes sense.
All right. So go ahead and write that in on your the romantic, and let us come to Iron Lotus. Romantic or general?
Yeah, so I already wrote out my romantic.
What?
To compliment what's going on with Sangda. So Sangda and I have growing feelings for each other, but they think I'm my brother. But I recently discovered that Rising Phoenix has always had feelings for my true self. And I have a name for the sister. It's Golden Peony, Iron Lotus, Golden Peony, right? Lotus,
Nice.
Peony, Golden, Iron.
And who is Rising Phoenix?
Gosh, I think I really want to amp up the sapphic-ness. So I think Rising Phoenix is a really gorgeous warrior, and yeah, like a really strong warrior, but very like tall and femme, and was a childhood best friend of Golden Peony, and so like she had no idea. She was completely lesbian oblivious the entire time.
So she, her pronouns for Rising Phoenix?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Excellent. We'll have to find pictures again for
Yes,
all of these
yes.
people
I'm already
in
working.
there. And what does Rising Phoenix do?
I think Rising Phoenix is, I think she's a herbo. Like she goes around joining tournaments, wants to be the strongest, wants to protect who's important to her.
Absolutely.
Doesn't have a good head for this conspiracy stuff. It's like, where did Golden Peony go? It keeps looking for me.
Oh,
Like it could ruin my disguise.
I like the herbo of it. That's very good.
Just to give you a strong peg of what
Oh,
to
yeah.
go for.
Let us come back to Tyler. What are you thinking about for your general?
Okay, since we have such hidden identities, I do want to check with the two who have them, but I'm thinking I found that blank has hid their true identity from everyone because of their past with blah. Sort of fits with all of my detective-y ability stuffs. Is that something either one of you would be interested having someone in the party who knows the truth?
Yes, that would be fine with me because you're in the detective business, so you can.
Okay. Cool.
So
Then
who is the person that they have, is the reason that they've hidden their true identity?
Yeah, Sherry, what are you thinking?
Why have I hidden my true identity?
So look at how he's got the entanglement written and see if we can kind of play
Reading
with
is
that.
hard. Hold
I
on, I'm
know.
scrolling.
Has hidden their true identity from everyone because of their past with blank.
Let's see here.
But we could probably adapt that as long as we can find someone else to tag it into it or have as a person.
So
maybe there's a rival to the to Blue Mountain Scholars work or to you taking
really
over
good.
that kind of
Yeah,
thing.
that's actually a really good idea.
Yeah.
So
who is this person who thinks they ought to be the proper successor?
How about like make it really like my uncle who's older than me and has a lot of power and sway in the sort of, detective circles of all of these things.
Like maybe he oversees the magistrate Delenn and some of these other officials. Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. What? Give me a name for that person.
Oh,
either you or Tyler, either one.
You're so much better than me, Ada Sherry.
I do think that because he wants to become the Blue Mountain Scholar, that he calls himself a Blue Mountain. Let's see here, like Blue Mountain Sentinel or something like that. That's kind of pretentious.
Okay.
If that makes any sense.
Your uncle, the Blue Mountain Sentinel. Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Song Da, what about for your general?
So let's keep things confusing with alternate identities. Best ever. So mine is Indigo Judgment, my clan leader, has told me to spy on my comrade. And Sherry, what is your assumed identity's name?
Blue Mountain Scholar.
And then your real name is Lost Song, Janai?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. Then yes, has told me to spy on my comrade Blue Mountain Scholar because there have been some sort of like hinky and inconsistent reports about them recently.
And it may well be that Indigo Judgment is a friend of the Blue Mountain Sentinel. There's some connection potentially there. Okay. I like that.
You guys are too fast at these. You're supposed to be taking time and hemming and hawing.
How about I take a deep, delicious slug of this tea and you
That's
can
going
think
to
about
take,
your general.
how about 4 or 5 slugs there? I can't even find the right tab. Okay. Let's see here. How about,
Refreshing.
um, um, can I check with your, I think it makes sense that I learned that, let's see, Tyler's character's name is,
Bow.
Ow.
okay. Oh, sorry, I'm trying to get this set right.
Would you like me to?
Just
I
too
see
many.
Jamie has theirs
Yes.
written out. Shall I move on to Jamie?
Yeah, just so I can get it written out so it's like
Okay.
makes sense.
Jamie, I see that you have your general kind of figured out. So why don't you tell us about that?
Yeah, so Ninth Raven knows my secret and threatens to tell my friend Baoshi, who will not understand why I've deceived. What are Baoshi's pronouns? I should change this. He, him. Why I've deceived him.
Okay.
And I like the idea that I'm kind of your part-time Watson.
Oh,
Like
I
a-
like that.
Right? I'm always like asking, but you know, if that's the, like I'm always asking the silly questions, right, just to help you think. And so we've gotten really close. I think there's this weird part where like you didn't really get along with my brother, but ever since I took on his, you know, his identity, like all of a sudden he's become a nicer guy.
He's not nearly the dick he used to be.
Yeah. And I think Ninth Raven is like, I want to say they're an up and coming, like they're a rival investigator, or at least they see themselves as such. So I have to figure out like why Ninth Raven hasn't already just told Baoshi, but yeah.
It may be that they suspect your secret. Maybe they don't know. They don't have any proof, but they suspect. They can kind of see the fray there.
Oh no, I can see this anime moment where it's like, haha, like trying to like open a door to
Yes, exactly. And you've spun around and changed.
Yeah.
Or we see you splash into the
Yeah.
bath water.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's what's going on.
Absolutely. Lots of petals on top of the water. So
Yeah. Just to cover every like thing. Yeah.
All right. Let's come back to a lost song, Genai.
Yep. So I think I like the idea that I learned that my friend Baoshi has been betrayed by their teacher, many gifted Zhao Hu, but they'll never believe me. And it's more that I came across the paperwork where the position for a magistrate starting on the sort of career that Baoshi wishes was supposed to be offered to them, but many gifted Yahoo gave it to their own son.
So you have a mentor who you look up to, like a kind of a father figure who has betrayed you, though you'll never believe it.
I'll never believe it.
Of course he wouldn't do such a thing. He taught me everything I know.
you learned everything you know while you were near him.
All right. So that gives us our entanglements. What I want to do is take another 10. And when we come back, I want to frame up, get a little bit set, and kind of get us in position, maybe even put a corpse on the floor for all of this. Okay. So let's take 10. So we're taking up with our characters involved in their various matters, their various things. And it is within this that a messenger arrives to speak with our most notable investigator, Bao Shi. Where is it that you reside? Do you have an office? Do you have a house? Do you have a building?
I think I have a house that serves as an office.
Okay. So maybe the lent to you by a grateful client kind of thing.
I like that.
Okay.
Yes.
And so Iron Lotus, how is it that you came to be present at Bao Shi's house at this day? What were you running from?
Running from? I think Ninth Raven refused to leave me alone and had set up numerous traps around my home. But I knew that if I hung out with Bao Shi, the Ninth Raven would be too, wouldn't dare. So I'm hanging around, being as useful as I possibly can be.
And the two of you are there when this messenger, very well polished, clearly some money to them, arrives and presents themselves and says, I am here looking for the well-regarded and well-spoken of investigator Bao Shi. Might you be him?
You are indeed in luck. I am.
And is this your assistant?
My friend and associate.
There is a matter which my master has asked me to attend to. He is having a gathering, and he wishes for nothing more than for you to attend this gathering as a honored guest. And you will be compensated for your time.
If I'm being compensated, it implies that there is something required a bit more than my simple attendance.
I am but a servant, master, but my lord, Sun Ganyu, wishes to have the most illustrious guests present at his gathering.
See, well, I'll look over at Iron Lotus. Well, that does make a bit more sense. An illustrious gathering. I can see why I would be invited to that. I would guess that I could bring a companion with me.
Absolutely, if you mean your compatriot here, Iron Lotus.
Of course.
Then the matter is perfect, as if it were already arranged.
Tell your master that that indeed I will be pleased to go. I'm so sorry. Lotus, you would like to attend?
Of course, Master Bao Shi, I would be most honored if I could attend.
Excellent. Then you are expected when night falls this evening. And here is a scroll with directions to how to get to the estate. It is a little bit outside of the bounds of the city.
Thank you very much.
No, thank you. Let us, on that particular note, come to another member of our illustrious group, Blue Mountain Scholar. What is it that you're on the trail of that has brought you to this kind of weird, not particularly densely populated? It's not a ghost town, but it's just not as populous as you would have expected. A little weirdness in the air there.
Sort of trying to trace back a series of shipments that had sort of arrived in the capital and were, say, it was an unusual poison that hasn't been seen for decades and decades. And I've sort of have been trying to track back, and what I have found is a series of dead merchants. And this is sort of the next hop.
And you are there looking into the matters, checking things out. And perhaps you've entered into this house that maybe has a little bit of a suspicious air to it. And you've looked around, and when you come out, there is a figure who is there smiling jovially and clearly waiting on you.
My apologies.
Oh, no, there is no need to apologize. You are the Blue Mountain Scholar, are you not?
I am.
This is so good. It is so good. It is a reckoning. I do not know how these things are arranged. It is possibly fate, it is possibly fortune, but I suspect there is a hand at work in these things. My master has looked everywhere for you, has tried to find you, to ask you for a favor. Would you hear more of this?
Of course. And he
Blue Mountain
sent you
Scholar.
here to look.
Yes. He said that I would find you here at this time on this day.
In the name of your master?
My master's name is the most illustrious Sun Guan Yu.
You.
He is having a gathering, an event, and he would be delighted if you could attend it this evening. I was sent to tell you that he may have information for you on a matter you are pursuing.
Then by all means, I will certainly attend.
Excellent. Allow me to give you this letter that contains the address that you are to arrive at this evening after darkness falls.
All right. I will take the letter. People note that takes the letter with their sleeve, doesn't touch it itself.
Very wise. You are very wise. It is as people have said about your skills and purposefulity. That is much spoken and commented on in many places. I will relay to my master that you have accepted the invitation. It should be quite the gathering.
Excellent. I will look at the messenger fairly closely because usually people ignore them, and this one is a little too excited about things going well. So
You wish to do a study roll?
Yes, I wish to do a study roll to see if I could tell if this person is, how should we say, not exactly what they appear.
Let us have you make that roll. What do you wish to roll with? Because I want to say, but in case nobody at home is aware of this, Sherry has a great history with rolling study in
The
any Hearts of
worst.
Wulin game.
The worst. That is where all of my botches come. I wish to roll with water, awareness, wisdom, and flexibility, but where is our rolling room kept?
Well, you can find it on the Lines and Veils tab or at the bottom of the Basic or Other Moves tab.
Oh, thank you. I'm going to the lines and veils, please. Let's see here. So, let's see here. Rolling is Blue Mountain Scholar. So 2d6 and I'm adding 1.
Yes.
And it gives me a 6. So yes, indeed, my fail rate is
I think that when you are speaking to him and trying to read him a little more closely, there is that moment where something draws your eye away, and when you look back, he's gone.
clever.
And there's a strange smell hovering in the air, like a cinnamon, maybe a cardamom. A little unusual. You certainly have breathed it in fairly deeply. But no
Excellent.
XP
Now
because it
now
wasn't inner conflict. Song Da.
Hello.
How did you hear about this gathering of notable Wulin that is happening? What was it that led you to kind of know and start to follow up on this?
I think it was a messenger crow, and we see it with like its feathers are very like Superman hair, blue black, like they shine this bright blue in the light, and it's a message directly from Iron Judgment himself, directing me that a Blue Mountain Scholar has been known that he's going to attend this gathering, and that this will be a perfect social opportunity for me to get in close and start studying him.
There's an additional note that is said that there is something strange about the gathering, and it is suggested that you approach with some care and discretion. Do you take that to heart, or are you going in?
A little of both. I am taking care and discretion in that I am trusting in my skills. So I think maybe as Blue Mountain Scholar and that messenger are confusingly parting ways, like up in the top branches of a tree, sort of on the outside of that courtyard, is a Song Da with his notebook out and his ink brush there, just furiously jotting down notes about meeting with a mysterious stranger who can't quite get close enough to hear what they're talking about.
What's your plan for getting in, since this is not an event that you were invited to?
I mean, not invited to, no, but certainly welcome at always. So
You're just making that
probably,
assumption, right? Yeah.
Well, it's the reputation of the Bureau. I mean, it's not an assumption. It's just the way that the world is. But I think I would go straight to whoever's hosting it. Try and approach their representative and say that obviously such an illustrious meeting, you would want it recorded, and any great acts that come from, we want an eyewitness account for the history books so that legend may always remember this gathering.
That seems like a perfect plan, and I'm sure nothing will go awry with that. Excellent.
Amazing. Yes.
Yes.
So who is it that's hosting this?
His name is Sun Guan Yu. He is a notable old master of his particular house and faction who's been around for quite a long time.
And is there a notable like younger clan member or like designate of the house that I could approach?
This certainly seems like a thing you can do as a study before you and Green Mountain arrive. What do you want to roll that study with?
Let's see. We'll go with a little. We'll start strong. Why not? I mean, how could this go wrong if I go with a strong stat? So water for that awareness and the of the setup of the Sun clan and the wisdom to know who to approach.
Excellent. So let's have you make that roll.
That is a 4, but it's my best stat, so that's +2. So that is a 6.
That is a 6. That's interesting. So, hey, tell me, you get a bond from each of your entanglements. One from each. What are you going to choose for those bonds? I'm not saying you have to spend them right now, but let's at least get that set. Oh, it looks like you've got them set. So we've got one with Iron Lotus and one with Blue Mountain Scholar. So, Songda, I think we see you like you're traveling along and you're like trying to remember. You're looking through your book, trying to and I definitely think we see this shadowy figure watching you and watching the Blue Mountain Scholar. And I think we see them.
Wait, but that's you may be confused because that's my job.
Yes, but this other figure that you don't see is watching both of you. And we will see him watch for a bit, pace, realize what's going on, and then heads ahead, heading off in the direction you're heading, as if he is going to tell someone that another guest is arriving.
Well, I'm sure that's all to the best, so that I'll be expected and honored when I arrive.
Let's cut back to Bow and Lotus, or Iron. Bow and Iron, together they fight crime. Anything either of you wish to do before you head to this engagement?
Yeah, I think actually Iron Lotus is going to turn to Baoshi. Master, are you sure about this? They seem very suspicious, shady, untrustworthy, and not pretty. I mean, not well presented.
You bring up a good point, Lotus. I have to admit that this does seem somewhat suspicious. While I, of course, recognize wanting to have the most illustrious people at a party, something about this seems a little fishy. I know. And I'm going to begin like going through my racks of books and scrolls to see if I can find out any information about this person that has invited us.
Are you saying that you would also like to make a study roll?
I think I would.
I have never been happier.
And as I do, I will have called to have. I have a feeling there is a part-time, like a housekeeper type, someone who does a bit of the cleaning up. So I will have had tea and little nibbly bits brought in for us to enjoy as I begin laying.
She comes in and she puts her hands on her hips and looks around the messy room and
I will tidy up. I will tidy up, madam. Please, really, please. Lotus, please. The cookies are delicious. And here, look. And I bring these things down so the two of us can look together.
What do you want to roll that study roll with?
I think I'm rolling with wood. This seems like curiosity to me.
It does.
So that's +1. Let's see how we do. That's a 6.
Now, Iron Lotus, you are actually in a position to support.
I would do that. I would do
Okay. Then let's have you roll comfort and support to assist in this action. Alternately, you could just spend, if you have a bond with them, you could just spend a bond.
Yeah, I don't. Oh, I could spend the bond, right?
Yeah, if you have a bond with them,
Yeah.
you can spend
I'll
it
go
on
ahead.
them.
Yeah, I'll
Or
go
we
ahead and
can
spend
roll.
it.
Okay.
I'm worried about this roller.
Okay,
I don't trust
fair
this dice room.
enough.
I'm going to spend. I'm going to say like while he's looking through the scrolls, I'm going to see like one really pretty one that Baoshi ignored, and I'll just like knock it over with the flute by accident, like pretend it fell on its own.
All right, so that will bump it up to a 7. We look at the new study move. It's a little bit different from our standard study move. It adds in questions about the clues and conspiracy things. On a 7 to 9, essentially you effectively get, as we would usually do with study, a hold. If we had a mystery in play, which we don't yet, you could gain a clue, but with a cost, like something would happen. So what is the question you want to have answered, you two?
Yeah. Jamie, do you, as much as I love to reveal details, I almost think we may be better served to like ask something about the person who's invited.
Yeah, I think so. Good call.
So how about motivation seems like our best bet here.
Yeah.
So why do we think we've been invited?
Well, you know that this host, Sun Guan Yu, is fairly well regarded in the martial world. He came out of the crisis 15 years ago in relatively good shape. Oh, did I mention what that crisis was? It was the death of the master of the Green Leaves Society and his 3 disciples. They were a powerful force for righteous justice within the Wulin world, but they were killed 15 years ago. And it created a whole schism in the world of the Wulin and split up various factions and things like that. And Sun Guan Yu became a kind of a pillar of stability in his area. He'd been loosely associated with the Green Leaf Society, and he managed to keep himself up. So it does seem a little odd to you, but if he's having you come, maybe there's something he wants figured out. Why else would you have a detective come?
Lotus, my dear friend, I think that we might be walking into a bit of a conundrum. I have an idea that there may be a bit, well, of a mystery afoot.
Oh no, Master, I don't like it when you have that look in your eyes. I'll have to go pack. I'll have to bring the first aid kit. I'll be right back.
And I imagine you're getting your travel bags and the little magnifying piece of glass and so on together. Blue Mountain Scholar, you are traveling along. The worst part of traveling is maintaining you looking like Blue Mountain Scholar while you're traveling. walking with that hobbling pace.
I'm kind of hunched over,
And
staring.
you are traveling along, and you will see a woman. She's in her, you would guess her 40s, maybe even later. It's hard to tell. Who has a sword and a walking stick, who is seated beside the road. And when she sees you approach, like clearly stands up and does that thing where she shakes herself in such a way to make it like she's, oh no, she wasn't resting, she was just re-straightening her bags or something. And she will look at you and she will say, honored grandfather, where do you head?
And I think I will stop as if I'm sort of grateful for the chance to rest here.
Please
but
come
I
and
do-
sit on this bench.
Thank you. I will do that. And I will come and sit, still keep my hat so that it's very hard to see my face all at once. And I will say, I have received a invitation to the house of Sun Guo.
You as well.
Yes.
I was also invited and to have taken this journey. It has been many years since I have been in these parts.
Now, am I supposed to know this person?
No,
Refer
she
to
clearly
me as-
doesn't know who you
you
are.
Okay.
And she will kind of pause. She goes, my name is Mao Ching.
It is good to make your acquaintance. I am Blue Mountain Scholar.
She'll say, why don't I walk along with you? We can keep each other company, and I don't mind walking at your pace.
Ah, you are very generous. I am sorry to lengthen your trip, but I would very much like the company.
And Song Da, you're up in the trees, and you kind of stopped, and you have seen this exchange go on between I'm keep getting blue and green mixed up, the Blue Mountain Scholar and Mao Ching. This older swordswoman, very clearly from the Wulin, but older. What do you want to do?
Oh, it's Michelle Yeoh. I want to go.
Yes, it is. It's a very special appearance by Michelle Yeoh. It's like our Star Trek episodes where we have special guest stars.
Yes, I'm getting her autograph right now on this slide.
Just looking through the moves. I want to try and follow after them and get close enough that I can actually overhear their conversation, but obviously without them seeing me.
I think that is an overcome.
All right.
Because you are trying to conceal your presence from two skillful masters of the Wulin.
This is definitely leaning on my lightness. So I think this would be my fire, my element, my style element. Where is?
It is actually in the top, and I miswrote it because when I copied and pasted it over. So it is at the top.
Oh, gotcha.
E1.
Cool. So. Oh, okay. That's it still rolled me a 1 in there, so it's still feeling spicy. But that's a 7 + 2 is 9.
Are you happy with that 9, or do you want to spend a bond? Let me tell you what the hard choice is going to be. I think that the hard choice is going to be that one of the two of them will become aware of your presence.
Well, I mean, that's obviously they can't become aware. I would be tainting the scene that I'm observing, and that's not what I want here. I want a clean, unbiased observation. So I do have a bond on Blue Mountain Scholar.
Spend that, and you go to a 10, and you are a shadow dogging their steps. And you definitely can tell as they walk along that Mao Ching is matching the pace of Green Mountain Scholar, who is walking with that kind of elongate, and less so that she's having to really do that, but more that this is probably her pace, like she has she's more older, perhaps worn down by life in the Wulin than she would let on with her appearance.
It's sort of strange that, out of the two of them, she seems more comfortable with this pace, while Blue Mountain Scholar seems to be almost twitching a little bit. That's odd.
It is a little odd, but I think we'll cut. As you are pacing along, their conversation is, I assume, fairly mundane. Blue Mountain.
Yeah, though I do know that my uncle likes a pretty lady, and he will sort of fall back to literary things like poetry and stuff, and making observations about the scenery. So I can do that too.
Yeah, you'll do that poetry game where
Yep.
you start a line and the other has to kind of come back on it, and yours is maybe a little more saucy, and at some point she will stop and she will go, "Perhaps you wish to rephrase that, old man."
Yes, I have heard of Blue Mountain Scholar's love of the racy poetry.
It's a little
Yes.
blue.
Perhaps I misremember it.
And I think we will see the camera kind of come up. We can see the estate in the distance with as night is beginning to fall and lanterns everywhere. This household out here is very clearly made up in a very festive way. And Iron Lotus, you and Bao are on the road, heading along to this place. Iron Lotus, you have some other agendas and things like that. So I just want to check in case there's anything you wanted to do before you left town or anything you want to look into.
Yeah, I think I want to check in with my faction, the Broken Circle, to see if there's anything that they know about the upcoming event.
That's a study move.
I knew it. I was like, I should have worded it. Okay. All right. So, hello, E6s. I want you to behave right now. Yeah, and I think I'm doing this respectfully, asking someone else. So I think it's going to be yeah, I think it's going to be wood, unfortunately, which is plus 0. But anyway, we'll see how it is. I could roll really well. It could happen. We'll see how it goes in this room. Did it roll? Firefox in this nice roller. Oh no, was it bad? I'm going to get an XP. I'm just going to go ahead and work that.
Oh no, you don't get XP on a miss.
Oh no! Okay, remove that. Okay, got it. I was talking about all this free XP.
But you do
We're
get
not getting it either.
XP on your delicious inner conflicts. So I think that when you go to talk to the Broken Circle people, where is the location that you might meet up with them?
Yeah, it's there's an inn nearby, and if you just step into the kitchen, there's it connects to this other house that's built right up against a restaurant, and so that's where we usually meet up to talk.
And I think when you arrive there, let me check here on something. You will see that both Ninth Raven and Magistrate Delenn are there, and you see that there are some people who've been kind of rousted out from the location and are in cuffs, and it looks like there was a raid here. And Magistrate Delenn certainly knows you, and so does Ninth Raven. Do you want to try and stay out of their line of sight?
Well, but I have painted skin, so I can like step behind and then look like one of those like mooks who are like searching for things. I like take a hat, I throw out a coat.
Yeah, it looks like there's been some kind of raid, and you will hear Ninth Raven say, "Well, Magistrate Delenn, your informant was very accurate." Delenn says, "Yes, we will, but this is only part of this broken circle. That there'll be others, but remember, no word of this outside." What do you want to do?
Gosh, I think I want to. Do I see who they've taken away? Like,
You will move, and you can tell that these are the fringe hanger-on people, the people who don't know anything, the people who are kind of there, that would be, if something went wrong, they would be cut loose and thrown to the wolves. And you look carefully around, and you don't see any of the senior people.
yeah, I think I'm going to. You know what? I have a move that helps with something like this. I'm going to use. Yeah, I'm going to use Hearts and Minds to create misunderstandings between people. So specifically, I'm going to say, Master Ninth Raven. And I'm going to try to say something that makes it look like that he's keeping something from the magistrate. Like,
That's perfect. Let's have you roll Hearts and Minds. What do you want to do that with?
I think I'm being very, very sneaky and very calculating. So it's metal.
Ooh, yes, please roll with your style element, because the rollers loved you all so much today.
But I'm gonna have I have my +1.
Absolutely. So
It'll be a
there's
total of
almost
+2.
there's almost
No. You're not
chance.
allowed to say anything, Lowell. You're not allowed to say anything.
You're rolling with a +3.
Yes. Okay. So let's see how it goes. Oh my gosh, my hands are cold.
Look at that. That's an 8.
Yes. Nice.
So I think it is like I think you will kind of, there's some, you know how to whisper, how to imply some things and stuff, such that at the end, like Ninth Raven was looking around, and you can see that Magistrate Delenn, she's looking at Ninth Raven, and definitely like maybe slide something into her inner pocket, and maybe something she was going to say to Ninth Raven, but doesn't, and you can see that suspicion kind of in her eyes there. You can slide off before anyone is the wiser.
I will do that.
But we will cut to the two of you on the road traveling along. It is getting late, dusk has fallen, and I think you will see up ahead that there is a wagon drawn by an oxen, let's say, who like clearly they've hit a rut, and the owner of it is like trying to get it to move, because right now it's blocking the road. I mean, you two can walk around it, but he's trying to get it off the road. What do you two do? Let's start with Bao this time.
I suppose walking up closer and looking about. Good sir, you seem to have encountered some misfortune.
This beast it drove straight for the rut in the road. A willful thing. A willful thing. No, it is okay. Pets a little bit. That is a willful thing. Pulling on it or trying to get it. Clearly, you can see the back of the wagon is covered, but there's clearly goods back there.
I will move forward, giving Lotus a chance to, if they want to look into the wagon or whatever. But I will move up to Jim. Well, sir, it is not in fact that your animal was willful. You see, and I would like to roll my signature move.
Please, let's have you roll that. I love it.
So I think I'm going to roll with, oh, what the heck? This seems calculated. I'll roll with my good one
Oh,
there.
absolutely. Roll with your metal.
That's a 10.
That is a 10. So on a 10 plus, so on a hit, narrate what actually happened. Tell him what is going on. What has actually happened? Why is his cart stuck here like this?
You see, sir, in fact,
Yes.
if you look here at the side of the road, there are tracks that show that in front of your poor oxen, there was a raccoon.
Oh,
that
a raccoon.
Stuck its head up, almost certainly right underneath the hooves of your beast. And thus, your oxen moved away to avoid stepping upon this raccoon, and in fact, managed then to put your wagon off to the side. The raccoon, you will see,
Yes.
then moved back here to this log. And I will kick over the log, and out from the end will run the raccoon.
And it's doing that raccoon cussing.
It was not
amazing.
your oxen's fault at all.
How did you see that?
Simple science, my friend.
What is science?
And observation. Pure observation.
You have bigger eyes than the saucers. It's amazing. Thank you.
You're quite welcome, man.
I will give Flossie extra oats to absolve her of any blame, but I must get this up and going here. Iron Lotus, it's not even a thing to reach back and to lift up the back of the tarp and look and see what's in the wagon.
Oh yeah, absolutely. While he's going like, saucers, like that. I'm like,
Oh, yeah. There are 4 coffins in the back of this wagon.
is it normal that they should be covered like this, or?
But if they're clearly not full, they're clearly empty. Of course, you would, if it looks like it might rain or the elements, you would cover them up. So it's not unusual.
Yeah, and I think I would say, my dear friend of the road, it seems that you carry markers of death. Perhaps that is what created the extra burden upon your poor ox.
No,
like I'm trying
no,
to get to his
no.
superstition, right?
There are no, these are not markers of death until you put a body in them. No. Now they are just boxes. They are not yet to be until the thing is filled into it. The wine jug is not a wine jug until the wine is put into it. Until then, it is a simple jug that could be anything.
Right. But did someone order these innocent boxes that do not yet carry death?
Yes. In fact, I was paid a goodly amount to bring these coffins tonight before nightfall. I will be late, but I think if they will not blame me too much.
Oh, of course, Master Bob, we will assist this person. This person
Certainly.
who expects dead bodies to fill these innocent boxes.
And where is your destination, good sir?
I'm certainly headed to the house of Sun Guan Yu.
Bum, 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 bum.
And that's where we're stopping.
Can I ask? Can I
Yes.
get a bond with Lotus off of that roll?
Absolutely. I think so. Lotus
it's part
or
of the
this
move,
driver. I
yeah.
like either one of those. Thank you. So that's where we're going to stop. We'll do Stars and Wishes off camera. I'm going to stop recording here. Let me do that.